people, how are you all? Today I'm doing something slightly different on two accounts. The first is, I did a piece of lineless art, which I have not tried in about a year probably. I don't think I've ever finished one where I didn't then superimpose the sketch over the top at the end because I was not happy with how it turned out. So this is really interesting and new art ways for me, and also I've decided to not bother scripting this video, because let's face it, I always go off script anyway, so I've got a bullet point list of things to talk about. We're going to see if I actually manage to cover all of them, and how much I'm going to regret this when I have to come edit it, but we'll see what happens. Yeah, so let's get into it. I was actually super inspired to draw this piece by finally watching some Drawfee. A lot of my friends have been watching Drawfee for years at this point, and I finally got round to actually looking at some of the videos. And one of the things I saw was the way they kind of put the colours over the top of the sketch to make sure it got up to the edges and everything, and the shapes were all right. And I figured, you know what, it's been a while, why don't we give this a go? I want to get better at drawing like realistic faces anyway, so I thought, what do I want to draw? Well, I'd also been reading some of Black Me's Death fanfiction again, and there was a very, very funny scene with Jim in it, and I was like, you know what, we're going to draw Jim. I found an excellent photo of Vico Ortiz, whose name I realise I've been saying wrong for years because it's not Oritz. The T is not in that place. But I found like a really cool photo of them that is on the left side of the screen there, and I decided to draw it. Of course, I added an extra hand to the sketch because I hate life, apparently, and also this wasn't a photo of them dressed as Jim, which was sort of okay at first because, I mean, obviously I started with the face, and the face is kind of the most detailed bit and the bit that's the most important to kind of get looking right for the whole piece to look good. But their hair is different, their clothes are very different, there was still a hat. I managed to get a photo with a hat at least. Maybe if I'd spent longer looking for reference photos I could have just done one of Jim, but I kind of didn't want to do a screen cap of the show because it won't look as good as the real thing anyway, and I wasn't necessarily trying to go super realistic. I wanted to have a bit of a stylized vibe to it, but also, like, actually look like Jim. This, however, is the first time I think on a speed paint that I've spent longer colouring than sketching and doing line art. This is probably because of the distinct lack of line art, which I'm kind of, partly I really love how this turned out, partly I'm super annoyed because I really like doing line art, and I feel like the line art on this would have looked very cool, but I'm not sure that the overall piece would have looked as good because I don't think I would have got the colouring right to go with the line art. Maybe I need to try this colouring style on a line art piece at some point. I'll add that maybe to my to-do list, but yeah, I spent longer on the colouring, which is really kind of interesting to me. Particularly the face took quite a while, but I found the face was really useful kind of working out like how the cooler shadows work, and it was the one bit of the drawing that I had really good reference for, that and the hand at the top. Really good reference for what the colours should look like, where the shadows should lie. Obviously I had to make a bit of it up with the way the hair was falling on the face, but like I actually had a very decent point of reference to look at and kind of apply to this. I didn't with the jacket. Jackets are hard. Trying to get all the folds in the right place was hard to begin with. The image I was looking at was a black leather jacket, which makes it really hard to see where the shadows are falling. You can just see where the super shiny bits are. But it also means that the fabric folds differently to the kind of canvasy sort of coat that Jim usually wears, and the shadows were really hard to see. The highlights are much harsher, obviously, on leather, and trying to shade this was really difficult. The upper arm, particularly, I don't know why that was so hard. I fixed that twice after I finished recording this because I wasn't happy with it. I'm still not entirely happy with it, but trying to just get everything to flow in the right place. The coat Jim wears is slightly baggier than a leather jacket as well, which I was trying to work out how that would hang on the arm. I think I did an okay job of it, but I made my life really, really difficult for no apparent reason here, to be honest. I also still don't really know how hair works. I kind of shaded hair the way I would usually shade hair. Luckily, Jim's hair is, I think it's a very dark brown, not black technically, but because it's so dark and the kind of harsher lighting on this piece did at least mean that a lot of it I could just colour pretty much close to black and kind of ignore. It still didn't turn out perfectly. I think I need to look at more reference of hair that's not so dark to try and get a better idea of how I meant to construct those shapes, but it could have gone worse. At least Jim has long hair. If I had to draw Vico Ortiz's short hair, I would have really struggled because I can't do short hair to save my life, as you will have seen from the number of times I've tried to draw Aziraphale. I can't get his hair right. I can't get any short hair right. I need it to be in individual strands because that's just how I learnt to draw hair. It's a thing for another day to tackle. I'll add it to the list. Right. Fancy colouring with line art and short hair. That's going to be the next piece. It's so not going to be the next piece. I don't have the time for that. This script thing was a really good idea until I lost place in my bullet point notes, because my bullet point notes are just a big chunky paragraph. Knife, why so confusing? Right, yeah, knives, metal. I should have got a reference image for this, really. I kind of didn't want to because I knew the lighting wouldn't be the same as what I wanted it to be. And I sort of knew what I was doing, because I knew I needed to reflect the jacket slightly and the background and stuff, so there need to be colours on it that weren't just like metallic colours. But I know I did not get the shading on the knife right. I'm not sure what I could have done to make it better besides looking up a reference video. I think possibly I just didn't go kind of harsh enough with the colours, because I have seen on metal the shading can get really quite harsh in places. You have very bright highlights and then the rest of it, you think of it as a colour because that's kind of how your brain interprets it, but actually it ends up being much darker. And I think if I'd gone a bit more severe with the shadows on it, it might have looked better. But I tried. I should have got a reference, I'm so lazy. Luckily, rim lighting solves everything. I was really quite happy with this piece, I must admit, by the time I got to this stage. Usually with my pieces, if I put rim lighting on, it's because I'm not happy with how it looks. And in this one, I was very happy with it. However, putting rim lighting on work, I was originally going to try to do like quite a extended kind of light. So you know the lights you see where it covers like a decent portion of the face, the edge of the surface, and it's like people go really ham with it and it looks really, really cool, but I couldn't get it to look right with the kind of style I'd done, so I instead went for, you know, very thin kind of line rim lighting. But I'm really happy with it. I did it in teal, obviously, because Jim and Oluwande are one of the cutest ships in this show. Well, actually, no, they're my third favourite ship after Steadwood, and yes, I still call it that. And the unbeatable Lucius, Fang and Pete trio that I will die defending. I don't know why there is not more content out there for those three. Why so many people keep trying to ship Lucius and Izzy. Actually, I know exactly why, and it's because they're like polar opposites and Lucius is kind of the anti-Izzy Hands. But also, Pete and Fang and Lucius, and they're so cute. But Jim and Olu are my third favourite, and they are really adorable, so I would love to do more art for them as well. I'm not sure I've even drawn Oluwande much, except for in my latest animatic, which isn't online. But they're really cute, they're so fun. And yeah, that's kind of all I have to say on the painting, I think. This was a real challenge for me compared to some of the stuff I've done more recently. I've kind of gotten into a bit of a rut. I had a while where I wasn't doing any art I liked. I've spoken about this before. And actually, my last painting, which was the Draw This in Your Style challenge I did, I'm not particularly happy with how that turned out either. I think it was the colours that were the problem there. I'm starting to wonder if I should maybe start taking colour palettes off the internet, because doing Jim here, I was able to use the colours that Jim naturally has in their outfit, but also knowing that the orange and the teal colours are constantly used with them and Oluwande as characters, and that they are designed to look nice because the people who made this show know what they're doing, unlike me. And so I wonder if I should start taking colour palettes off, like getting like internet randomly generated colour palettes to try and apply to various things to make them look better, or maybe just trying my colour palettes like as a block next to each other to see how they look before I apply them to things might give me a better result. But I'm so happy with how it's turned out. Are there bits of it that I think I could fix? Definitely. I think I possibly went too stylized and kind of chunky on the face. I think I lost some of like the harshness of the cheekbones and things. But I'm really proud of it. I've not done lineless art in so long, and I don't very often do kind of traditional painting. So it's been a while since I properly tried, you know, painting in this style. And yeah, I'm really happy with it. I found it really challenging, but I really hope you enjoyed this video. I really hope that the voiceover is not too rambly for you guys. I am going to edit it down a bit, but let's face it, I do not have the patience to actually re-record any of it, so if it's terrible, it's terrible. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I will see all you guys soon. Bye.